Hello, everybody! So, today, I'm going to be doing a Godzilla Kong the New Empire trailer breakdown. Because I noticed quite a lot of things, and I'm not going to be relying on other channels for this like I have in the past. I'm doing my New Year's resolution in December. New year, new me. I'm not relying on other people for information. I noticed all these myself. Well, with some help from the comments. So, I was a bit harsh in my reaction, as you can probably see. What the heck was that? Yeah, I rewatched it quite a few times, and I've changed my mind on it. I've grown to like it. Of course, the CGI does need a little bit of touching up, but I still like it a lot more than my reaction makes out my emotions to be. So, yeah. So, let's get started. No more ado. Let's get started. Alright, so starting off the trailer, we have the Warner Brothers and Legendary logos in blue and red mixing into purple smoke. Now, this is something I learned on my own, and a lot of people seem to be misidentifying this. That's me thinking I'm right, and I just assume I'm right all the time, so just put up with that. We have blue and red on each side of the logos mixing together into a purple. Now, a lot of people interpret this as a new villain's color. Scar King, the new villain's color. Which, that could be, but I think what it means is blue, the color of Godzilla, and red, the color of Kong. Now that they're mixing and teaming up, making purple. So, it's a stylistic choice. Godzilla and Kong, red and blue, are teaming up, aka mixing together, to make purple. Alright, moving on. We have a seismic reader that continuously gets bigger with each swipe. And if you know monsters, then the seismic reader should be a no-brainer as for what's going on there. And then we get this shot of helicopters flying over a Monarch base, I think, on a beach. It's a lagoon type thing. It kind of looks like Bikini Atoll. I don't think it's Bikini Atoll, because I don't remember that there was a... I don't remember that being there. I've looked at Bikini Atoll a couple times, and I don't remember that being there, so I don't think that's Bikini Atoll. Maybe it's Rio. That seems even more unlikely. Rio doesn't have a giant lagoon like that, I don't think. Well, maybe. Nah, it looks like a base on just some random island. And then, we get a shot of the Great Pyramids of Giza, which have a pretty major presence in this movie, which, more on this later. After the Great Pyramids at dusk, we get a shot of the Great Pyramids in the daytime with camels everywhere. The ground is starting to erode and there's a hole coming. Oh, those poor camels. I feel so bad for them. And then the seismic reader again getting bigger. And then the ground comes up again. And there's a blue hue coming from within the thing, which I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler light as possible, but there's a new villain in the movie called Scar King, and it's a giant orangutan-like monster. But he's not the only villain. There's another Godzilla-like monster named Shimo, and it's an ice monster. And I'm wondering if Shimo is coming out here, and that's the reason for the blue. But we do see Kong in a mechanical arm I am fine with the arm. I feel it's extremely unnecessary, but I'm fine with it. And then we see the seismic reader again, and it's just the same thing repeated. Anyway, we then see leaf wings flying in the hollow earth, and there are two interesting things of note here. One, there are three green energy things. They look like crystals. I don't know what they are, but they're off to the sides. There's the one on the left, one on the right, and then one in the dead center. I have no idea what those are, but I figured they were worth mentioning. And then also, there's something off about the hollow earth. When I saw the trailer when I did my trailer reaction, I knew there was something off about it, but I couldn't quite pinpoint what, but now I know what it is. There's no hollow earth energy scattered everywhere. So, the hollow earth apparently got a makeover. And, yeah. So, and then we see in the next shot, we can also see Kong on the ground, running away from things. That'll be important in a minute. Giant wolf monsters. He's running away from a bunch of wolves. And we see Kong jumping through the woods, into trees. And if you look really closely, Kong is more gray now, and he has a longer beard. It's amazing how Kong can get old so quick, yet Godzilla really doesn't seem to ever age. I mean, unless you count his constant mutations aging. I don't. It's just like, those are just features that grow. But there's no signs of physical aging. Like, Godzilla's muscles never deplete or anything like that. But Kong's growing a beard and is getting grayer. And Kong is, like, way younger than Godzilla is. Godzilla's, like, several million years old, and Kong is, like, a couple hundred. I heard somewhere, at the time of Godzilla vs. Kong, he's only, like, 91, I believe, by Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, it's just interesting to note that Kong is getting old. We then see this weird thing. I have no idea what this is. I think it's supposed to be like the newer, more advanced heave, but it looks like it has wings. I mean, when I first saw this, I was thinking, wait, Mecha Mothra, but yeah, it looks so strange. It's like it's a heave, but not. And then after this, we see the doors to this heave open in a swampy biome, it looks like. And we have Eileen Andrews with a haircut, and the cast list, and Dan Stevens' character, the cast list calls him Steven Randa. So I'm just gonna call him that. I don't know if that's the finalized name. If it is, how many Randas are there in this world? But yeah, Steven Randa. We have Eileen Andrews, Steven Randa, and then behind them, Bernie Hayes. Which, good for you, Bernie. You went from conspiracy podcaster in a weird company to Hollow Earth specialist in a multinational organization. Dear Lord. Good for you, Bernie. I'm happy for you. And then we see Kong looking at the silhouette of a giant monster looming towards him, and he gets his axe ready for a fight. And this shot right here, it reminds me so much of Kratos from God of War. I don't know why, but it just does. And then we see that the shadow is just a facade, and that it's a baby Kong named Suko. And Kong looks like, what is this? What? You see some Monarch agents walking through an area of the Hollow Earth, and we see Steven Randa say,
"What is that?
When looking up at a bloody handprint on what looks like a monarch base on a mountain. I can't tell, but this was obviously left by Scar King. And so, next shot, we see Kong jump into an icy dungeon, which I think this is the dungeon of Shimo, the ice monster, because it looks like there's glowing ice, purple, blue, and then there's a bunch of Kong skulls everywhere. So this might be Scar King's lair, but seeing as how it's frozen, I think that it's Shimo's. Now, this next shot, there's the shot from inside of Scar King's dungeon, where there is hundreds upon hundreds of Kongs there. Which, that's one of the choices that this movie did, which I am not really excited about. Because they're really underplaying the Titan War. I mean, okay, I'm gonna put my head in the ring. There's no way the Kongs won the Titan War. There's just no way. Godzilla got his entire race annihilated, and Kong has an entire legion of Kongs down here, which, I don't know. I don't really like that choice. But if it's executed well, I'm fine with it for now. And so then, next shot, we see Scar King breathing into the camera, which is taken directly from the title reveal. I was not prepared for that shot to actually be used in the movie. But I'm happy it is, because it's a really cool shot. And then we see Kong once again running away from these giant wolf monsters, which I think that these are also in Godzilla Kong Hunted, the new comic coming out soon, but I don't know. They look similar to each other, but not really. The one from Godzilla Kong the New Empire looks more like wolves. The one from The Hunted looks more like a giant furless predatory cat. So I'm not sure if they're the same. But we see Kong jump off of a cliff to get away from them in a slow in a slow shot, and we get a good look at the Hollow Earth now, and it's much darker, which I am surprised by that. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's just, I wasn't prepared for it to be this dark. I thought it was going to be the same as it was in Godzilla vs. Kong, where it was like the huge, cool fantasy world. But apparently not, and I'm okay with that. And then we get this shot of Gia becoming an Iwi princess. I don't know what to make of this shot at all. We're down in the Kong temple, and Gia's there in a robe of some sort, and I don't know what is happening. But there's a bunch of Iwis, and they're leading Stephen Randa and Bernie Hayes. And I'm only now realizing how many badges he has. Dear, Bernie has a lot of badges. Anyway, but I do not know what to make of this. There's like a stairway leading into purple magic. I don't know what any of this is. Is it like purple Titan energy, or what is happening here? But next shot, we see a giant spider-like monster. This is a monster called Arachnid, and it appears to be attacking Brazil based on the Brazilian flag in the shot. And this is, from what I've heard, this is basically going to be a cold open for Godzilla. It's going to be a scene where Godzilla just goes and beats up a monster just to show off that he's still here. But yeah, as the name suggests, this monster arachnid is a spider. So yes, and then we see a crowd running away from smoke, and then we see Kong looking in fear at something. I don't know what he's looking at. Maybe it's Gia climbing the staircase. I don't think so, but speaking of Gia climbing the staircase, Gia is climbing the staircase, and she's touching the energy. It's noteworthy that she has a crystal on her head now. I do not know what to make of this shot at all. Is she gonna get powers now, or? I hope not. I'd prefer to leave the humans to be humans, not leave the monsters to be magical and stuff. But Gia getting powers would be interesting. I'll say that much. And so then we see Godzilla inside of an iceberg with glowing red energy all around him. Now, this could be the aftermath of a fight with Shimo, the ice monster, but I don't think so. I think he just went into the ice just to sleep. I don't know why he would freeze himself, but he did, or it could be the fight with Shimo. He got knocked out and went to sleep in ice. Well, he got froze. And then we get the shot of his eyes opening with pink energy, and then he comes out of the iceberg. Now, I don't really see anyone else talking about this, so I want to mention it. This is definitely a reference to the original King Kong vs. Godzilla, where Godzilla came out of an iceberg when he first appeared in the movie, because he got frozen there back in Godzilla Raids Again. I just wanted to mention that because I wouldn't say it's a deep cut, because all they had to do was go back and watch King Kong vs. Godzilla to get this information. But it's a pretty cool reference, if I do say so myself. And then we see Godzilla roar at the sky, which I got a lot of... the CGI does need touching up here. And when I got a lot of angry words when I said that in my trailer reaction. Of course, in my trailer reaction, I was very harsh to the movie in general, but this shot in particular, it looks like one of those knockoff. One of those, like, by the Asylum movies, like Ape vs. Monster, you remember that? The CGI isn't fully rendered, but okay. Enough. Yeah. Godzilla's pink energy is interesting, because, it's kind of Shin Godzilla, but it's also kind of like the red spiral ray. I wonder if his pink energy is gonna stay. I'm mixed on it. On one hand, I like and I miss the blue, but on the other hand, pink energy is a fresh start for Godzilla, and I'm kind of fine with it. I don't mind it. And so then, in the next shot, we see the shot from the title reveal of Scar King sitting in his throne. Nothing really noteworthy here other than his eyes are glowing, which, he could have Titan energy powers like Godzilla, where he has, like, atomic breath. A Kong with atomic breath would be a little goofy. I'd imagine, like, electricity powers, or maybe, like, nuclear pulses. I don't know. But we see another shot of Scar King, and he's walking on all of his legs, and he has a bone whip made of the rib cage of a serpent monster. Maybe a Tiamat, I don't know. But he has a serpent whip made of the bones of a serpent. And yeah. And then Scar King lands in front of a bunch of Kongs, and those Kongs look afraid. They look afraid to see him. And you can notice in the crowd there is Kong and Tsuko there, so this is present day, this isn't a flashback. So, I would prefer if this was a flashback, but it's not. It's a present-day thing. And then we see Skarking roar at the camera. Well, not at the camera, past the camera. But this isn't the shot that's interesting to me. The shot that's interesting to me is Skarking roaring on the coast of Rio de Janeiro. Now, I remember this. This was about a year ago when they were filming in the Gold Coast for Rio de Janeiro. And it was said that it would be Godzilla coming ashore, but apparently not. But I would like to mention the water is frozen. And so Skarking and Shimo are both here. And you can also kind of see Skarking looks a little frosty. That's the wrong word. He looks like he has ice on him. His fur looks a little stuck together. But yeah, Shimo is here because the water's frozen, and Skarking is here scaring the crowd. The trailer really ramps up, and we see Godzilla charging his pink atomic breath and turning around and staring at the camera as his atomic breath fully reaches his head. And now, I feel like this is in Egypt. There's a desert, there's a city back there, and we know that Godzilla and Kong are going to be at the Great Pyramids. And I have a gut feeling that this is where that is. And then we see Kong roar at who I assume is Godzilla. Maybe it's Skarking or Shimo. And then Godzilla unleashes his atomic breath, and he shoots it at something. And then we have the money shot. Godzilla comes out of the ground and lands in the classic superhero pose with one arm behind him and one arm on the ground. And this is one of the parts where I felt was extremely goofy. The way Godzilla runs here and the way they're kind of running together, it's extremely goofy, but I'm gonna have to get used to that. But it's noteworthy how there are crystals here, and Shimo, the crystalline ice monster, as I keep hammering down, this is definitely Shimo's lair. But yeah, and by the way, I didn't clarify this when we first saw Kong's hand. Kong is not losing his hand, he's just, like, Skarking broke it or something, and he has to put a brace on in order to fix it. So, yeah. But Godzilla is running beside Kong with his dorsal plates looking as pretty as ever. And then we get the title, but there's stuff after the title. There is a shot of Zuko on a cliff with Gia looking... I don't know what's up with Gia here. I mean, Zuko is on the cliff looking down at them, and Gia looks extremely upset. I'm not sure what's going on here, but Bernie shows up and says, "Is that a mini Kong?" Which, that is very in character for him. That line. And then we see Zuko beating his chest on the cliff, which, the movements are extremely strange, but it's okay. Monsters, if we're going by real-world logic, monsters shouldn't exist at all, so I guess. So yeah, that is my trailer breakdown. We are probably past the 20-minute mark now, so I'm going to end it here. Let me know what you thought of the trailer in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.